whether the team is performing clean or unsightly. We'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, once again, the Washington football team prevails. In spite of injuries and adversity, once again, this team wins a game, a nail-biter, 17-15 for the second consecutive week. And once again, this team gets back to 500 for the third time this season. Washington has gotten to the 500 mark, has not eclipsed it this season. We haven't gotten over that hump. Hopefully, we'll do that as we head into Dallas week. But before we start talking about Dallas, we have to relive the epic 17-15 victory out in Vegas over the Raiders to get us back to 500 at 6-6 on the season. It was a roller coaster of emotions in that football game, from the opening possession right down the field into the end zone, to then being stagnant offensively, to the defense holding us down while we figured it out offensively, to then taking a touchdown, 8-point lead, and essentially with a 2-point conversion and feeling like you have control of the game, to then the Raiders rallying back, scoring 9 unanswered points and taking a 15-14 lead, to then Taylor Heineke almost throwing an interception and losing the game, to then taking us into field goal range on a 4th and inches, deciding to go for it, then deciding not to go for it, then kicking a field goal with a kicker that you weren't too sure about, him making the kick, but then the Raiders still having 37 seconds, then kicking it off, them wasting 6 seconds on the kickoff, and having 31 seconds in the timeout to get in the field goal range, and then having to defend a Hail Mary to preserve the victory. It was a roller coaster of emotions in which we lost Logan Thomas, more likely than not, for the season. We'll talk more about that in other news a little bit later on in the show. But once again, this team rallied together, got it done, and now we've put ourselves in the position that we've talked about before the season started, making those final 5 games of the season mean something. And we really wanted it to mean a chance at winning the division. Well, here we are. But worst case scenario, you wanted to have an opportunity to make the postseason. Well, we'll have that opportunity. Whether we win the division or not, we'll have a great opportunity to make the playoffs. Everything we want is in front of us. Now we've got to go and get it. So let's talk about this game, the keys to victory, where they achieved, and how we got this 17-15 victory done. So we start with the offensive side of the football, Washington's offense versus Raiders defense. And the first key to the game was O-line communication and domination. So I felt like this offensive line could have new pieces up front, and they did. I told you I thought Keith Ishmael would start. And I said, Tyler Larsen, to me, they're going to use him as an emergency guy. I think he'll dress. I just don't think he'll start. That's exactly what they did. So, and Ron even said that's exactly what the plan was. They didn't want Larsen out there if they didn't have to have him out there, but they wanted him just in case they had to go to another guy. Ishmael, luckily enough for us, stayed healthy and was able to play the entire game. So, you knew he was going to be brand new, first career NFL start, and then we weren't sure about Eric Flowers, but I already told you what Ron said on Friday. Ron pretty much challenged his manhood, and we know this is a sport where if someone challenges your manhood, you answer the bell. Football is one of those sports, once you get to week 1, you're never going to be fully healthy. After that first game, you're never 100% healthy the rest of the season. You're going to have nicks and bruises. You're going to have to play through some things. We don't know what these guys go through to play on Sundays. You could only imagine. If you've ever played football, then you know how physically demanding the sport is. And that was at a much lower level, high school, college, whatever. This is the pros. This is the best of the best. These guys go through so much to play on a weekly basis, and I figured he was going to play. He did play, and so that was one less injury we had to worry about, however, and change. However, you wanted to have that communication up front, and so I thought for the most part the communication was fine. We didn't give up any easy pressures. The domination part was what didn't really sit well with me. I felt like on the ground, we did what we needed to do. We didn't dominate, but I thought we were adequate enough to stay ahead of the sticks. But there were some lost yardage plays. I felt like there was constant pressure off the right side with Max Crosby. I thought, again, like we always say with Taylor, he could have run a couple more times and maybe spared the offensive line from giving up a sack or two. But that said, I thought the offensive line was good enough, again, but it wasn't dominant. And so I gave it half credit. We got half credit for that first one. They were good enough. We ran it effectively. Gibby had almost 90 yards rushing. Heineke was, for the most part, had all day to throw back there, but there were a few plays where he had to step up or he was under duress. Arm got hit on an interception. I thought there was constant pressure off that right side. So I thought that the offensive line was not as dominant as it had been in previous weeks. The next key to the game, Heineke Ultra, not Heineke Light. We got Heineke Genuine Draft for the second consecutive week. And, that's why the result was what it was. The 2 weeks previous, we had gotten Heineke Ultra and we scored, damn near 30 points, 29 and 27 respectively. You get Heineke Genuine Draft, you score 17, but it's enough to help you win ball games, so you're not complaining. He wasn't terrible in this game. He only had, I think they only threw it 23 times again, I think he was like 19 of 23 or something. Like the completion percentage is through the roof. But it wasn't for a bunch of yards. Last week, at least he was up over 200 yards passing. This week, he was under 200 yards passing, like 196 or something like that, 193, something like that. So, it's not ideal. You would like for us to throw for more yards, but he got it done. And, the turnover wasn't his fault. His arm got hit. You'd like to see him maybe step up there and not take that hit. But at the end of the day, he was good enough for us to win. And when we needed him the most, and this is the most important part, and this is what you have to acknowledge. When we needed him the most, almost threw the pick. Can't just whisk that away. Can't just act like that doesn't exist. But when we needed him the most, he stepped up on that final drive, got us into field goal range, made some big throws to Adam Humphries, and helped us win the game. So got a half check there as well. Got half credit for that one as well. The next key to the game offensively was explosive plays that lead to points. I wanted 3 of them minimum. We got none. We had no explosive plays in this game whatsoever. Everything was nickel and dime. Everything was dink and dunk. We had a couple of big plays. The Logan Thomas throw down the sidelines on looked like about a 7 route. Maybe it was a bench route. Either way, he was wide open. Heineke got it to him. He got up the sideline. That was a big throw, catch and run, because that was on that drive that ultimately gave us a touchdown lead at 14-6. So that was a huge play on that drive. And that was probably our biggest play of the day. We didn't have many big chunk plays. We started out with some really good hits in the run game. Gibson, I think, had his biggest run of the day on the very first play of the game. And then, the Logan Thomas touchdown back in the end zone, that was nice on the opening possession. But again, we didn't have any explosive plays, so no credit on that one. We've got to hit some more explosive plays. And I think we'll have an opportunity against Dallas's defense. They play a lot more man coverage than the Raiders do. I told you they're primarily a zone team. They want to keep everything in front of them. So I don't know if the opportunities really existed or not. But we got to find a way to generate some more explosive plays, whether it's in the screen game, the run game, taking shots down the field, whatever the case may be. We have got to find ways to create more explosive plays. We did not have that happen in this game, and really we didn't have that happen last week against Seattle either. Jump early. That was the next offensive key. Jump them early. We did that. The touchdown I thought was key to start the game. You lose the toss, okay, fine. You don't want to lose the toss. You want to get the ball after half. But if you don't, why not score in the opening possession? We hadn't done that in forever. I don't think we had done that all season long. Scored an opening possession touchdown where we lost the toss and got the football and decided, okay, well, to hell with it. We didn't win the toss. Let's go get some points. I don't think we've done that all season long. I can't recall us scoring a touchdown on the opening possession of any game this season. I could be wrong. I just don't recall us doing that. We've kicked field goals. I don't recall us scoring a touchdown on the opening possession. But again, I could be wrong about that. I can't tell you the last time we've done it, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it was good to get that done, to knock that out of the way. But more importantly, I talked about the importance of jumping on the Raiders. This is a team that they're a front runner. They do best when they're ahead, when they're playing with the lead. Their confidence grows. I said we needed to take an early lead and really put them on their heels. We did that. So jumping them early definitely was a must, and we did that with the touchdown, and they really never recovered. I mean, honestly, they didn't take the lead until the late stages of the fourth quarter. So I thought that was a masterful job done to take the lead, and then the defense really piggybacked off of that. Yeah, we got to check there, full point. And then finally, control the ball, clock, and scoreboard, another full check and point there. Because, again, we won time of possession, we controlled the clock, and most importantly, we controlled the scoreboard. I mean, again, this wasn't a wire-to-wire win like it was against Seattle, but was it a wire-to-wire? I feel like Seattle took a 7-3 lead, I think. I think they jumped ahead of us with the touchdown. It might have even been 7-0. And then, we clawed our way back, ultimately took the lead and never relinquished it. The Tampa Bay game was wire to wire, and that was it, because Carolina took the lead on us first. So Tampa Bay game was I think that's our only wire to wire finish, start to finish lead and win of the season. This was close, but they took the lead in the fourth quarter, 15-14, briefly before we reestablished the lead and took the lead and won the football game. So we controlled the scoreboard for, I'd say we led this game for 60 minutes. We led this game for probably 57 of them. The Raiders took the lead with like 2:38 left, I believe it was something like that. And we retook the lead with 37 seconds left. So they might have had the lead for all of 2 minutes in this game. So we controlled the scoreboard, we controlled the clock, we controlled the pace and the ball. We for the most part, we did all the things we needed to do. So full check there. You total all of that up, 3 points from the offense. I need the offense to produce more than that. That's the second week they've produced 3 points from their keys, and that's why we scored 17 points the last 2 weeks, okay? But you transition to the defense, and they continue to hold it down on their side and end of things. Washington's D versus the Raiders offense. Get to Derek Carr was the first key to the game, and we got half credit for that. I thought there were times where Derek Carr could have built a house back there. He was just standing, patting, and just waiting for someone to get open, and there was no pressure whatsoever. Luckily enough for us, he either didn't see the guy open because he had Deshaun Jackson open, and we talked about that during the telecast on overtime, that Deshaun Jackson was open on one of those plays. They showed it on the live broadcast. He's wide open, and Derek Carr decided to check it down, for whatever reason. But, for the most part, we did a good job of taking away anything deep, anything cheap. They didn't have many explosive plays, and so we didn't get to Derek Carr as much as I would have liked, but we did get to Derek Carr. We did sack him twice. There were times where he had to, evade rushers and escape and evacuate the pocket and run, and he did that. But, he wasn't back there building a house all day, but there were a bunch of times where he had all day to throw. That said, we did sack him twice. We did force him off the spot a couple of times, and for that, we got half credit. The next key to the game defensively, make them one-dimensional. That's exactly what we did. The run game was really a non-factor. Josh Jacobs didn't have a terrible game. 13 carries, 52 yards. That's 4 a pop. However, probably 2 runs, accounted for probably 22 of his yards. He had 2 good runs. The rest of his carries were really minuscule at best. We did a really good job of making sure that Derek Carr and that offense didn't have the crutch of the run game. A lot of times when they ran it, they got a yard or two, and it put them in, long down and distance situations, so they went away from the run. If you're getting 4, you're getting 5, you go back to it. You get 1 or you get 2, and now it's 2nd and 8. You can't afford to do that again because it'll be 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6. You don't want to be in 3rd and 7. You don't want to be in 3rd and 6 if you can avoid it. So I thought we did a really good job of making them one-dimensional and forcing Derek Carr to have to beat us. And I've said it already. When Derek Carr and that offense doesn't put up points, they don't win. And one of the ways they are able to be put up points is to be balanced, and then that play action fake creates opportunities down the field. They never really had those opportunities in this game, and that's because we made them one-dimensional. So full check mark and point there. The next key to the game, offensive or defensively, was limit explosive plays. We just talked about that. We did exactly that. The Raiders I told you they were one of the best teams in the league in explosive plays. As a matter of fact, they lead the league in the explosive plays category. I didn't realize that the discrepancy in the margin in which they lead the league was so great. So this is a team that feeds off of explosive plays. Well, they pretty much had none in the game. They had one or two. Hunter Renfrow got us for a big chunk play once, and they took their shots. I told you Derek Carr was going to take his shots, and they took their shots. But for the most part, we held them down, and we kept everything in front of us, and that was part of the reason we won the football game. So a full check there for the defense. Hold the Raiders to 20 points or less was the next defensive key. Well, again, did that. They only scored 15 points. And I told you they hadn't won a game all season long where they didn't score north of 20. And I said, if we can find a way to do the things we've done the last 3 weeks, essentially hold opponents down scoring-wise under their average. Tampa scored 19. We know they're a damn near 30-point type team. We held them to 19. The Panthers scored 34 points the week prior before our game against Arizona on the road. We held them to 21. Now, that's probably right around their league, season average. But still, that was a far cry from the 34 they had scored the previous week. And then, last week against Seattle was struggling to score. Well, good. Make them struggle to score. They scored 15 points. I told you, you hold a team under 20 in this league, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win that game. Okay, it's not going to be often that you lose a game in which you hold your opponent to less than 20 points. Now, we've won 2 weeks in a row where we haven't scored 20, and our opponent obviously didn't score 20 because we won and we didn't score 20. So it's rare that, a team comes out of a game and say, well, damn, we held them to 17 and we still lost. But that's what we've been able to do. Hold teams to 15 and we score 17 and win. And so we did what we needed to do. Hold the Raiders under 20 points. We got that done. And so full check there for the defense. And then finally, third and Renfrow, and plus the red zone defense and Brian Johnson. That was the final key to the game. Third and Renfrow, red zone D, Brian Johnson. That was the last key. And man, was that a huge key or what? So I told you the Raiders, I told you my best friend, one of my best friends is a Raiders fan. So I hear about third and Renfrow all the time. This guy's a slot machine, and he's one of the best in the business. We got a taste of it, and I told you we were going to have to slow this guy down. He is their offense, especially with no Waller. That was going to give us a great opportunity to win. That's why I was so confident. Had Waller played in this game, I don't think we win. Just going to be honest with you. But because Waller was out, I felt like our chances were enhanced, and that came to fruition. But I said, with him out, the focal point of the offense then has to become Hunter Renfrow. That's who they're going to get the football to. Derek Carr loves throwing the football to this guy, whether Waller's in the lineup or not. But now with Waller out, this is the guy they're going to go to. And what happened in that first half was sheer frustration because I'm screaming, guys, this is who they want to get it to. And on third down, every time when they did convert, it was Hunter Renfrow. And every chunk play they got, it was Hunter Renfrow. And I'm like, guys, this is the guy. This is the guy. Stop letting him do this to us. This is the guy. The guy had 9 catches for over 100 yards in this game, and probably 2 of them were 2 or 3 of them were, converters on third down. The Raiders were 2 of 8 on third down, so it's not like he absolutely shredded us on third down, but I guarantee you those 2 third down conversions were probably Hunter Renfrow catches, or he set up a situation where they could convert on third down. Either way, I thought the first half was frustrating. I thought the second half we were much better, covering Hunter Renfrow. I thought a lot of his damage came, in the first half, on third downs at least. But, on a couple of drives in the second half, specifically the touchdown drive, he was huge. So we didn't shut him down the way that we needed to. But the red zone defense was clutch. The one time they got into the red zone, they only made 1 appearance in the red zone, but it was a big one because if they scored a touchdown there, they were down 14-12 at that point. They had a chance. Derek Carr missed Zay Jones back corner of the end zone. Kendall Fuller with a nice cleanup on aisle 7 to stop them from getting in the end zone But, that was their one red zone trip. We kept them out of the end zone. It was massive because it allowed us to win the game with a field goal instead of needing a touchdown. And then Brian Johnson, I said, look, this new kicker, we're going to need every single kick. We can't afford, we're the kind of football we're playing, we can't have a missed extra point. We can't have a missed field goal. We need every single point. And Brian Johnson delivered. It wasn't always pretty. The first PAT looked low. It looked like it came off his foot a little sideways, but it got through the uprights. And that last field goal snuck in that right upright. Don't care how it looks. I just care about results. He made every single kick. He kicked one field goal and 2 extra points, and that was the difference in the game. We won by 2 because he made all of his kicks, including the game winner. So shout out to Brian Johnson for making a great first impact and impression on the team and the fan base as he helped us get it done. So a half a check mark there because the red zone defense and Brian Johnson were outstanding, but Hunter Renfrow kicked our butts. So only half credit there. But when you tally up what the defense was able to do, that's a 4. You couple that with what the offense did, a 3. It's a 7. I told you 7 or better usually gets you a dub. But we've been cutting it close the last 2 weeks. We've gotten 2 consecutive 7s after being 8.5 against Tampa and 8 the following week against Carolina. It's been 7, and I think these things go hand in hand because the 8.5 we win by 10, the 8 we win by 6. The last 2 weeks we've scored less than 20, won by 2, and we've gotten 7, which means we barely hit that threshold. So we're kind of teetering here. Need a big performance next week in terms of the keys to victory, but we got it done again, and now we're back to 500. So let's transition to in other news. Ron's day after presser was filled with nuggets. We'll start with the injury update from the game. And first and foremost, I'll save that for the end. He talked about Logan Thomas, and he said that, what did I say when you guys asked me about it? I said, I thought it was dirty, number one, and Ron didn't use that term because, as an ex-player, you want to walk that fine line, and those types of plays are a part of football. Cutting guys, going low, that's a part of football. However, what did I tell you I thought it was? I said I thought it was avoidable. It didn't need to happen. That was the thing that pissed me off. That's why I thought it was dirty. Is because that's the backside of a run play that's going the opposite direction. Okay? Logan Thomas is just coming to cut off the backside. And really, Logan really doesn't want any smoke. If you stay on your feet, he's going to stay on his feet. And you're not going to make any, you're not going to have anything to do with that play. Logan was literally going and just cleaning up the backside. That is it. And instead of him just staying up on his feet, they could have played pity pat. And it would have been the next play. It wasn't an impactful play. It wasn't anything significant. He wasn't busting his ass to try to make it to the front side. He was staying backside. You didn't need to go low and cut him there. That was a bullshit ass move. However, I said it was avoidable. It didn't need to happen. And you could tell Ron was pretty perturbed. That shit didn't need to happen. He's like, it was unnecessary. And I told you guys I thought it was unnecessary and it was avoidable. He didn't have to do that. And that's what Ron pretty much said. It was avoidable. He didn't have to go low there. It was no need for that. Now, we might have lost our best tight end for the season. More likely than not, we lost him for the rest of the season. Let's keep it a buck. So, Ron did say, however, that the news seems to be a little bit more, uplifting than we initially thought. Now, we were all told, reports were, reports aren't always correct, but reports were torn ACL, torn MCL, done for the season. Well, Ron's like, hey, hold on a minute. We're not sure if it's a torn ACL or not. Right now, the preliminary findings in MRI show that it's not torn. Now, we're going to get a second opinion. We're going to have some more looks and tests done at this thing, and we'll see what, is uncovered. But right now, normally, if an ACL is gone, you see that immediately. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It rarely do we have a situation where an ACL is torn. You think it's not torn, and then it ultimately is torn. Usually, ACL, okay, yeah, he tore his ACL. Like when Chase Young tore his ACL, Ron didn't come the next day and say, well, we're getting more tests done. Ron's like, yeah, it's pretty significant. We already knew what it was. I'm thinking he might not have torn it. He might have dodged the bullet. Now, he might have torn his MCL, but that's not an ACL. So even if he tore his MCL or ACL, MCL, he's probably still done for the season. However, the recovery time is a lot less than an ACL. So we'll see. Prayers up for Logan Thomas, and that's an unfortunate situation. He talked about a couple of other guys that are on the mend. Landon Collins and Montez Sweat, and he said, we're hoping both of those guys are ready for practice on Wednesday. Right now, they're waiting for the green light on Montez Sweat. Obviously, anytime you're talking about something neck and above, we need proper clearance for that. Obviously, you break your jaw. There's certain, protocols and things that need to be put in place because you're talking about, again, an upper extremity. So he's just waiting for a confirmation from the staff that, hey, this guy's good to go and no further damage is going to be done. He can get back out there. And then Montez has to be comfortable enough, ready to go. But this is the first week he'll be eligible to come off of the IR list. So we'll see what they decide to do. It's been a month. Remember, he was slated to miss at least a month. That was the report after the bye week, was he's going to be out at least a month. Well, it's been a month. He's missed 4 games. So the last time he's played was Halloween. So technically speaking, it's been 5 weeks since the injury occurred, because it happened on Halloween, the last day of October. Now we're into the second week of December, essentially. Or we're going into the second week of December. So he's had quite a bit of time. Hopefully enough has elapsed that he's ready to go. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if he misses one more game. I fully expect him to be back next week against Philadelphia, worst case scenario. But let's hope that he's back this week, along with Landon Collins, who Ron said came in for treatment the other day, looked really good. And by all accounts, might be ready to come. I feel like J.D. McKissic, will have Ricky Seals-Jones. All those guys will be back, and they couldn't have come back at a better time. I thought the underneath tackling was a little shoddy without Landon Collins. We obviously need a tight end to step in, and we can't seem to get Logan Thomas and Ricky Seals-Jones back in at the same time. They're just tagging each other back in. We get Logan Thomas back, Ricky Seals tags out. Now Ricky Seals is ready to tag back in. Logan is tagging out. So hopefully we're able to hold on to Ricky Seals now. He'll come in with John Bates, and we'll still have Sammy Reyes down this stretch run. That's the hope. Ricky Seals was close this week, so I'm anticipating that he'll be able to go this week. And same for Landon. Landon didn't practice last week. The hope is he practices this week. Same with Montez Sweat. And Tyler Larson may be back. So we may be getting some reinforcements. Of course, J.D. McKissic, I think, is another guy that I think might be ready to come back and contribute this week as well. So we may actually be getting healthier, which is crazy to say because we seem to lose someone every week. But we may be actually getting healthier at the right time for a massive matchup against Dallas this upcoming week. So Ron gave us an update on a few injured players. He talked about, a lot of different things, in the game, the philosophy and the philosophical change. He said, look, you got to learn to fall in love with a 3-yard run, and a lot of fans don't really want to hear that because, if you fall in love too much, if you fall in love too hard with the 3-yard runs, you score 17 points. That was my problem against Seattle, is that we fell in love with the 3-yard run, and it was great. But if you're not getting those same 2 or 3 yards on 3rd and 1, then, that wasn't the case in this game against the Raiders. Like Ron said, and one of the things I thought he said that was profound is we shot ourselves in the foot by, with a lot of our drives. We only had the football 8 times in this game because of how we were able to control the clock. And the Raiders did the same thing. They had drives that were, blown up with their own doing, or they didn't convert on 3rd downs. But the biggest problem for us was we'd pop a big run with Antonio Gibson. Oh, it's holding. Keith Ishmael, holding. Bring it back. We'd have a great play on 1st down to get a 1st down, and then we'd try to toss to Gibby or counter run, and he'd lose 6 yards. It'd be something dumb like that. Or Taylor Heineke takes a sack, and now it's 2nd and 18, and we couldn't overcome it. So enough of those plays will destroy drives, and it did that for us. But, at the end of the day, Ron's like, look, you got to learn how to fall in love with the 3-yard run. You got to be willing to, get yourself into 3rd and manageables and then convert. And he's like, Taylor's done that. We've done that. And Taylor, that's why the completion percentage is through the roof right now, because we're putting ourselves in those positions where you just need, 3-4 yards to convert and move the sticks. And he's like, the beauty of what we did in the last game is, and this is what I was telling my wife while we were watching the game, is that we keep moving the football just enough. And we got to midfield at least 3 or 4 times and had to punt. But in doing so, you hate that. But at the same time, you're like, we flip field position. Now they got to go 95 yards. They got to go 93. They got to go 87 yards if they want a touchdown. It's hard to do that in this league, especially if you don't have your best player, which they didn't have Darren Waller. It's hard to do that. So I felt good about what we did, but you want to score more points. I mean, that's the end all be all. You want to score more points. And we had opportunities, and we didn't take advantage of all of them in this game. But last thing I want to say about Ron is, a lot of you told me about the post-game, video, and, I long for those each week. One, it means we won, so that's great. But two, I just love to see the emotion, the raw emotion, the excitement of this team after a big win. And so I yearn for those each week. And you guys were telling me how hyped you were. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be hyped too. But this was next level hype, nobody dictates to us. We dictate. Nobody dictates to us. He said, you know what else we do? Jack, get out here. Where's Jack? And then everybody goes nuts. You know what I mean? And Jack throws the rock. Obviously, revenge game for Jack. Shout out to JDR for getting the win against his old mates. And so Jack throws the rock. Everybody goes nuts. And don't ask me what the hell Ron said after. We took the PJ to Vegas. I don't know what he said after that. But I just know I was amped. After that, he dropped the rock down for a little bit of cinematic effect. Dropped the rock, walk away. F yeah. And then breaks it down. And I just turned around. I was so hyped. I turned around and I slapped my wife. And then she proceeded to super kick me, knock me out cold, which is why you didn't get a video yesterday. But luckily enough, I was in the hospital, so they were able to revive me, gave me an ice pack, and I was up and ready, back on my feet, and here we are today. So that's the kind of emotion that I want to see. That only comes when you win. Man, is it fun to win. Winning is so much fun. So I enjoyed that thoroughly. Something else I enjoy, talking about the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, the P word. I love using the P word, especially when it applies to us. Let's take a look at the NFC East and the current NFC playoff standings. So here we are looking at the playoffs, and on the left you see what the NFC playoffs look like if they were to start today. Arizona would be your 1 seed. They would have the first round bye. The Packers would be your 2 seed. They would play the 49ers. The Buccaneers would be your 3 seed. They would be playing us. And the Cowboys would be your division winners. They would have the 4 seed, and they would be playing the Los Angeles Rams. So we're now the 6 seed. As you can see, we jumped the 49ers. We both are 6-6. I'm just going to tell you right now, the 49ers, I don't know who's going to be the 7 seed. It won't be the 49ers. They are currently 1-3 or 1-4 in their division, one or the other. You are not allowed to make you are not allowed to make the postseason with a losing divisional record. That's one of the things in the NFL manual. If you don't have a winning record in your division, you're not allowed to make the postseason. And the 49ers have stunk it up in their division. And so they're going to ultimately miss the postseason because of it. I don't know who's going to take their spot, whether it'll be Philadelphia or it'll be Carolina or some other team. I don't know who it's going to be, Minnesota even. But the 49ers, I don't think they're going to make it because their division record is so poor. But that's nor here nor there. That's not our problem. We're now the 6th seed. We leapfrogged the 49ers because we have a better divisional mark. As you can see on your right, I have all the divisions, including ours at the top, listed. And you can see the division marks. The 49ers are 1-4 in their division. That's not good enough. Even if they win their final game of the season, which it'll be against a divisional opponent, that would make them 2-4 in their division. That's not good enough. So I don't know who's going to take their spot, whether it's the Vikings or the Falcons or the Panthers or the Saints or the Seahawks, whomever, or the Eagles. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't care. I want a spot. I don't care about anybody else. And so let's turn our attention to the division because that's what I care about the most right now. Because in our pursuit of the division, if we go hard after the division and fall short, it will land us a wild card spot. So the goal shouldn't be, oh, let's try to win a wild card spot. No, let's go aggressively after the division. And if we fall short, if we go aggressively after it, we'll land a playoff spot. Because going aggressively after the division is going to net you 9 or 10 wins. Well, 9 or 10 is going to get you in the NFC, obviously. Clearly, 9 or 10 wins is going to get you in. And I told you, I felt like in order to make the playoffs, we needed to win 9 or 10 games. I said, I think you're going to have to win 10, 9 as a minimum, which is why I didn't think we were going to make this run because we were 2-6. I said, you're going to have to win essentially 7 out of your next 9 to get to the point where we are now, where now we got a chance to win 11 games, like because we haven't lost since we got to that point. But anyway, you see what's in front of us. Dallas is 2 games ahead of us. We have similar marks on the road and home. Dallas is 4-2 at home. They're 4-2 on the road. We're 3-3 at home. We're 3-3 on the road. Our conference records are really strong. Dallas is 6-1 in the conference. We're 5-2. So this is a massive game because we've got a chance to not only even up the conference record, but climb within a game of them in the standings. If we beat them, our division record then goes to 2-0. Dallas gets their first division loss, as you can see. They'll be 2-1. And more importantly, the conference record will be 6-2. Ours will be 6-2. So we'll even that mark up as well. And then we'll be 7-6 and they'll be 8-5. So we'll be within a game of first place. So this is a huge game coming up. The Eagles won. They beat the Jets. If you listen to Nick Sirianni, he said that there's no controversy at quarterback. And I believe him. I think Jalen Hurts is the guy. Now, this is the thing that's interesting. What happens when you get into a game, Hurts is struggling to throw the football, but you think it's a winnable game? Do you then go to Gardner Minshew? That's when things get interesting. But I don't think there's anything to discuss. The Eagles are on their bye week. You want to quell any discussion of a quarterback controversy. That's how you do it. You put it to bed right now, and he's done that. And so I don't think there needs to be one right now. But, you know, I think the interesting part comes when you get into a situation where you're in a contest. Like, say they play us in a week coming off the bye, and Hurts is struggling. And because we know he tends to do that. And throwing the football. And the game is there because, you know, we don't score a bunch of points. So, you know, the game is there for the taking and Hurts is struggling. He's got less than 100 yards passing. They're in the fourth quarter. Do you then turn to Gardner Minshew? That's when I think things could get interesting. But that's nor here nor there. Again, that is not our problem. I'm just worried about us, frankly. I'm not worried about the Eagles. I'm not worried about the Giants. I'm not worried about the Cowboys. I'm just worried about us. We take care of our business, we're going to end up being NFC East champions. So the situation looks really good for us right now. I'm not even ruling out the 5th seed. You know, once upon a time, I was like, hey, I just want to get to the 6th. Well, the Rams have been tripping. You know, they got Jacksonville to beat up on this past week, so they got their get-right game. But they still got, as you can look and see, the Rams, if you look down at the bottom, they are 1-2 in their division. They still got 3 division games, and they've struggled in their own division. They could lose 2 or 3 more games this season. And if they do, I wouldn't mind taking that 5 seed. If they don't want it, I don't have any problems taking that off their hands. So we don't have to stop at 6, guys. 5 is right there for the taking. The Rams are at 8-4. Again, if we go after the division aggressively and we fall short, that doesn't preclude us from getting the 5 seed. And that's why I say, just go after the division aggressively and let the chips fall where they may. We go 10-7. Who's to say that's not good enough to catch the Rams? You look at their division mark, and their conference, they're 5-3 in the conference right now. So if we play good enough ball, and the rest of our games are conference games, right? So they're all in the division, so they're all conference games. So let's say in order to get to 10 wins, let's say we get to 10-7, and the Rams end up 10-7. That would mean that we went... So that would add 4 more conference wins, and so we would be 9-3 in the conference. The Rams, if they lose any more games, because they're going to probably be playing the rest of the way NFC games. So more likely than not, they may have one or two more, AFC games in there. But they got 3 games against their division. So if they lose any more division games, just one more, that's it. We got a better conference record than them. So get to 10 and all bets are off, because the Rams right now, they look a little skittish. They look a little shaky. They get, like, if we both finish 10-7, but we got the better conference record, we leapfrog them. So don't look at the 5 seed as impossible. That's still within reach. So I'm not ruling anything out. The possibilities are endless for this team if we continue to win. That's the biggest thing. We just got to continue to win ball games. And it will put us in a position to not only win this division, but if we don't, to get as high as the 5th seed in the conference. So I like where we sit. I like the opportunity that we provided ourselves with. Now we got to take advantage of it. So that's essentially going to do it for me, your man Louie T, on this installment of Washington Football Nightly. I thank you guys for joining me. Just real quick, wanted to thank each and every single one of you for all the well wishes, all the prayers. Some of the comments were just so beautiful, man. I read every single one of them. Some of you talking about, double up, and, somebody posted the picture of Terry. We had the whole, first day of school, first day of work, thing that the Washington football team, PR staff did. And where they held up the little chalkboards and they had something written up there. My name is whatever. Somebody had, the birth of the babies and whatnot. And that was pretty cool. And, some of you using some of the things that we always like to say here on the show and using it in a clever way to refer to the baby. Some of you was like, hey, twin, win Monday or whatever the case may be. And just all of the comments were really cool. And heartwarming, and I appreciate all the outpouring of support that all of you have given. I can't thank you guys enough. So the twins are here. They're safe. They're healthy. I posted a picture of them on both YouTube and Twitter. And my wife is healthy and great spirits. So thank you for that as well. Thank you, JC. Really appreciate you for that. And thank you guys for all of the support throughout this entire process. And I told you we're giving away tickets to this game. So I think we'll do that on Thursday. So stay tuned. I'll have more information about that. But if you're a member of the MOBB, you're a member of Patreon, you are going to be allowed to be in this drawing. So I'll give you more information about that as the week progresses. But Thursday, we're going to be live Wednesday still. I'm hoping that's the case for the NFC East Super Friends. Obviously, there's a lot going on, but my hope is to still be able to do that because it's a big week, obviously. And so hopefully that's still going to happen. That's what I'm, kind of working towards right now. And I'm going as if that is still going to take place. So we'll see what happens. But in any event, I thank each and every single one of you for everything. All the well wishes, all the prayers, all the support, all the donations, everything. They are all so we're all so grateful and thankful. And the pouring of support has been the outpouring of support has been overwhelming, to say the least. So thank you guys for all of the support and all that you do for the Louie T Network. That said, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington football team. We did it again. Got the dub, 6-6, back to 500. And now the real fun begins. The NFC East 5-game stretch to wrap up the season. And it starts with nothing else but Dallas week. Bart Scott! Can't wait. Until next time, I'm your man Louie T signing off, saying once again, thank you guys. See you next time. Nobody dictates to us! That's right. We took the PJ to Vegas. Now let's drop these Cowboys off. Right in the heart of FedEx Field and do these boys. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's